What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back in the video, back with the final part of our 4-part draft strategy series. We have taken a look from the 101, 104, 107, and now we're going to do the 112. We're going to go over how drafts in general are looking when you have that late first round pick, different bits of strategy, and how the strategy kind of changes because of the general players you're going to have in that range. ADPs are going to change. That's a fact. But they're not going to change so much so that we're generally seeing like the running back 15 and then all of a sudden we're seeing the running back 40, right? We're in general, like the specific players are going to move around a little bit, but we kind of know even this early in the offseason, in general, where players are going to go before we have injury. So I think it's interesting to kind of compare all these videos because as we've seen, I think the biggest one is running back in round 4. We're going to be able to target a relatively decent running back in the 4th round, something that from an early first round pick, that option might not really be there, forcing you to potentially take that second a little bit earlier. Maybe you can afford to wait a little bit in 2, 3, 4, these kind of late first round picks. Obviously, 3, 12, 4, 1 is basically the exact same pick. So we're going to talk about different things in this video, a little bit less player specific, but of course, still talking about, the general players we're going to be seeing in these ranges. Again, ADP going to change just a little bit. When I talk about optimal in here, again, this is based off of the 2 million team study. We are taking a look at half PPR, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex spot. What sort of builds have resulted in the most championship teams, a higher championship rate over expectation? What we've learned, in round 1, it doesn't matter. Running back, wide receiver, you're good to go either way. Even round 2, whether you want to double dip at wide receiver, double dip at running back, you can do whatever you want in these first 2 rounds. So don't get locked into any sort of specific strategy. This season, from a late first round pick, you truly do have so many options. Maybe you're in a league, and I kind of just noticed Travis Etienne being here. That's kind of crazy to see, but it just takes a little bit of running back value away from us. Point I'm trying to say is, when we get to this late first round, you truly can do whatever you want. Even seeing Etienne go earlier, we could double dip at the running back position. Like if we wanted to do that right now, we could take Gibbs and Saquon Barkley. I think that would be a totally fine start, building out a potential robust RB build. You could go Gibbs, who I would have as that first running back there, and I have Puka Nacua a little bit ahead of A.J. Brown, but whoever you prefer between those two, running back and wide receiver. You could go A.J. Brown and Puka Nacua and say, you know what, I'm going to target the wide receiver position early on. I'm going to try and attack this value that I think will be there at the 312, 401 turn. And again, in these videos, we kind of take a decision, go to the end of the draft, then compare it back to what we would have seen had we gone a different way. We're going to do that here, and we'll kind of decide, if we want to compare maybe a 2 wide receiver build, maybe a split build. We'll kind of see how things look. But I truly believe, do the mocks out, see what you like at a late first round pick this season. I would say you probably want to split only in the mindset of when you get into the 3rd and 4th round, we still don't know exactly what value. I think there's going to be great value at running back. I think there's going to be one we want. Who knows? You could get into a draft where everyone loves the running back position. You just miss out. You took 2 wide receivers, and now you're sitting here like, okay, I don't want to reach maybe on, maybe some quarterbacks are gone. I don't want to reach on the new quarterbacks. I don't want to reach on like Mark Andrews this early, and you have Kelsey and Laporta are gone, and you're sitting there like, well, I actually want to double dip wide receiver, but I can't start off with 4 wide receivers in the first 4 rounds. Optimally, in this format, 3 wide receivers are the first 8 rounds. Now you can get to that 3 wide receiver as early as you want. You can do it in the first 3 rounds, but then you're going to have to wait a while. And so it kind of locks you into a box a little bit if you potentially go double. It could do the same thing at running back. We could see the reverse. And that's why it's like, I think what we're going to try out here is taking the 2. Take Jahmyr Gibbs, take our top ranked wide receiver who is Puka Nacua, and then we'll see. When we go back, we're going to double dip at one of them. And I'm honestly just going to see which one would have been better and just see if like that would have worked out better. Like basically, what would have we wanted to do at this pick? Would we want to have double dipped at wide receiver, running back, something like that? And we'll basically just do the opposite. We go back and look. So what would have we liked to do here? Rachaad White is there. Ken Walker is there. As I discussed in the other video, I feel like those 2 are kind of at the top there. You could also do Dave Montgomery, But we took Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm not about to do Gibbs and Montgomery in the first 3 rounds. So we're not doing that. I don't want Kamara this early. I don't want Aaron Jones, Stevenson, like none of these guys. So it truly is just Rachaad White or Ken Walker at this pick. And I would say neither one of them is like an amazing pick here. Remember, we got in, we were at the 107. We were getting, this decision in the mid 4th round. That would have been like, to take it at 312 feels to me a little bit too early. If we go on over to tight end, remember I just talked about Laporta, Kelsey. I would take those two. I don't think I would take Mark Andrews, so we're not taking a tight end. And then I think I would have been fine with Josh Allen. I don't think Hurts is a bad pick here. I think he would be the only other quarterback you'd consider, but it's probably right at the beginning. Let's see. I have him projected as pick 41. Yeah, it's really right at the beginning of where you would want it, where it picks 36, 37 at this turn. So quarterback, tight end, not super appealing. Running back, not super appealing. Wide receiver, let's be honest, in the early rounds, it's pretty much always appealing. We just missed out on getting great value on Deebo Samuel, Pittman, Waddle. They go back to back to back right before us. So that kind of stinks. But even having that happen, I love Nico Collins this season. I think DJ Moore would be a good pick at this spot. So I'm perfectly fine double dipping at wide receiver. But when we go back, we're going to do Gibbs Saquon. So we're going to see how this team works out if I took Gibbs Saquon and then I attack the wide receiver position after that. But let's finish off this build. It would be, yes, DJ Moore is my next top player. So we will take DJ Moore. Well, Nico is, but I mean, get the back-to-back. It doesn't matter which one you pick first. But it's Nico, then it's DJ Moore. So start to the draft. It's pretty good. We're doing a hero RB start. If we don't take a running back in this round, it is officially hero RB. I kind of talked about in the previous video how it was like we were quote unquote hero because like I felt like we had abandoned the position enough to be considered hero. But theoretically, if you want to go over the exact terminology, hero RB is 1 running back in the first 5. Optimal is 2. That's like an optimal build. And then if you grab 3 in the first 5, it's robust. You're going very heavy at the position. Okay. Let's talk about what is optimal here. Optimal grades out as 0 to 3 running backs leaving this 5-6 turn. So after our 6th pick, we can have 0 to 3. That means we can do whatever we want at running back. 1 to 3 wide receivers. We're already at the upper limit. And to be honest with you, we would only want 4 at most after the 8 turn. So we can't go too heavy at wide receiver. Another reason, maybe grabbing Saquon at that spot wouldn't be too bad of an idea. If we look at wide receiver, though, I don't think anything really stands out. Like, you guys know I love Tank Dell, but we have Nico Collins, so I don't really want to double dip there. I like Flowers, Pickens, but none of these guys stand out as that amazing of a value. And since it's not even optimal to take the position, what's the point, right? Why would we do that to ourselves? At tight end, honestly, I have written down, you're good taking any of the top 5. Kincaid is the last of the top 5 available to us right now. I have Kincaid at 49. We're at pick 60, so a really strong value. Also, a lot of people have, McBride, Andrews, Kincaid, really jumbled around in any order. There's been a whole round since the last one of those guys went. We are at 512, 601. Kincaid's a strong pick here, and we get to double dip, so I have a feeling we're probably going to go with him. Running back, they're saying James Conner really stands out. I don't know that my rankings will say he really stands out, but I would expect him to be at the top of the rankings right now. Brooks, as I've brought up a million times. Brooks is the top of the rankings, but James Conner is right behind that. And you would definitely, given a 5-point difference, I don't know. Brooks probably would not be there at the 712. We've been trying to target him at this general area. So for him to make it to 712, that is probably unlikely. But they're saying it's a 50-50 shot. You would want to take that 50-50 shot for only a few points of value because James Conner is not going to be there. And honestly, I'm probably higher on Benson than a lot of people. James Conner's right at the top of the ranking, so he'd be a decent pick. So those are 2 we consider. I have written down top 6 quarterbacks, but unfortunately, actually, the last one doesn't go. Richardson, I thought was going to be after Stroud. Stroud also an option. So Stroud, James Conner, and Dalton Kincaid. One thing we want to remember is tight end value. We've seen it plenty in drafts. We've seen it in also not even these simulated drafts. We have seen it on Underdog as well. you can get decent value after this top 5. Like Pitts is set up great, Ingram set up great, Njoku, Ferguson. I think it's a drop off after that. But like if we can wait multiple rounds for one of them, that's not a bad idea. So my gut is telling me grab that second running back, which again grades out as optimal over time. Grab that quarterback, that last top tier quarterback in the next round. Yeah. And you know what? What if Kincaid was there? They're saying he's probably not going to get drafted. I don't believe that. I think it's way higher than 35% chance that he is drafted in this next turn here. But I mean, maybe that's actually projecting our like next pick. I don't know what it's actually doing, but we'll take Stroud. Yeah, they're saying 35. There's just no way that's accurate. But I think we take James Conner here. But yeah, if you wanted to go with Kincaid, that would be fine as well. I want to take James Conner. Theoretically, this actually was a hero RB build. We didn't draft Kincaid goes. There was no way. That 35% was bogus. Okay, what do we got right now? Gibbs, James Conner. We've got Puka, DJ Moore, Nico Collins, and CJ Stroud. We are at the 7-8 turn. Optimal range here. 2 to 4 running backs. We need at least 2 running backs. Need at least 2 wide receivers as well. 2 to 4 is the same range. We have both. We're allowed up to 4. So we could take 2 running backs. We could take a running back and a wide receiver. We're not supposed to take 2 wide receivers. You don't want to have 5 exiting round 8. I have top 10 quarterbacks, but we already have Stroud. And then I have top 6 tight ends. You could throw Pitts in there, but Pitts unfortunately goes in round 6. So we will not be taking a tight end. So no tight end, no quarterback, at most 1 wide receiver. If we pull up the wide receiver rankings, I'm pretty sure Christian Kirk will be at the top of them, but will he be first? McLaurin, then Christian Kirk by 3 points. So both of these two very, very close to each other at the top. No one else is, I would say, really in contention there. I do think it's probably those top 2 as the best ones. Running back. Yeah, I mean, there's a drop off. So Singletary, Eckler, Spears, I think drop off into Zeke, Benson, which I don't think I would want to do having James Conner. Ford, fine in this build because maybe we can utilize him early in the season. Maybe we don't have to go with James Conner early on. But a clear drop off. Like the only starter is Singletary. He's the only starting running back left available. And the only 2 that like are basically 1Bs is Eckler, Spears. I guess you could throw Zeke into the mix there, but we cannot be targeting Zeke this season. So probably should take Singletary. I mean, I feel like Singletary is kind of jumping out at us. There are 2 wide receivers. If you wanted to go with Christian Kirk and Terry McLaurin, I think that would be fine. I don't think I would. I would probably just take McLaurin. Again, I don't know if this whole Ayuk situation, I don't know that. I'm recording like a lot of these in the same day. This goes live on July 1st. I'm recording it on June 18th. So I'm recording this very early. The day you're watching this is the day I returned from my honeymoon. So we had to record a lot of videos ahead of time here. I don't know if Brandon Ayuk has been a Commander for a little bit. If he has been, go with Christian Kirk. It'd be that simple of a decision. But we'll go with McLaurin. We'll just assume that has not occurred. And then we'll go Singletary. I feel like splitting there was definitely the best move for our team. 9-10 turn. Optimal. 3 to 4 running backs. So you need the 3rd running back here. Have that up to 4 so we can take up to 1 running back at this spot. 4 to 6 wide receivers. We have our 4, so we could take 2 wide receivers if we wanted to, but it doesn't matter too much. I have top 14 quarterbacks. We already have a quarterback. Top 11 tight ends. As we know, I get more okay with tight end a little bit earlier than the field. Like I'm good taking any of the top 11 right now, which is basically through this like Jake Ferguson range. Honestly, it was technically be through Dallas Goedert as well. I don't know that we need to. I mean, you can see all the like, what is that, pink red on the screen right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams have already taken a tight end. We do have this range before us where it's definitely possible, especially on the way back before the 11th round, that Ingram and Njoku Ferguson do come off the board. It's 4 teams. It's 3 tight ends that we want. So that should probably be in the back of our mind as like a heavy possibility right now. So we'll consider that. It would only be Engram, Njoku, and Ferguson as the ones that we want. Wide receiver. Not great. Ladd stands out. Ladd stands out as someone who could definitely rack up a lot of receptions this season. Is definitely a tier ahead of a lot of the people on this list. I think Worthy as well. It's like Worthy and Ladd. So I'm considering a double dip at wide receiver because I'd be pretty strong. I mean, Puka, DJ Moore, Nico Collins would be locked into the starting lineup to begin the season. But if we had Terry McLaurin, Xavier Worthy, and Ladd McConkey behind them, I mean, we're pretty much set at the wide receiver position. We don't have to do too much after that. And if we can do that and then grab one of these three, hopefully in the next round, like that's pretty sweet. That'd be a really nice start. We'd be abandoning running back a little bit, but we're still optimal. You're still allowed to leave this turn with 3 running backs. And when I look at the running backs, I like some of these guys. Like I like Corum. I like Charbonnet. I feel like these percentages are a little off. I feel like one of these guys, one of this like Kendre Algier, Ty Chandler, I think one of them will be available to us at the next spot. And I wouldn't hate that. And again, this is a hero RB build. So I'm assuming that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be that guy. Like he's going to be a very, very rock solid option for us week in and week out, significant upside. We're assuming with this build that he really works out. Obviously, if he were to be terrible this season or get injured, we're in a tough spot, right? We're hinging a lot, but that's what, Hero RB does. It's why it's more risky. It's why it is technically less optimal than just being optimal and taking those 2 running backs in the first 5 rounds, which we sort of did, but it's typically, again, more optimal to take that running back before 5-12. But anyways, those 2, they're still handcuffs and they're still upside options, but not people who are really going to help us right away. So I don't know that I really want to at this spot with some pretty clear top 2 wide receivers here ahead of everyone else. I don't know that I want to go to handcuffs if I'm going to be drafting handcuffs late anyways. So I think I want to go Worthy Ladd, be set at wide receiver. Maybe we can take one of our, Wicks Pearsall that we like later on. Maybe we go Pearsall defense in 14 and 15, and that's it. We take the 2 wide receivers here. We'll need a tight end, and then we'll just grab 2 kind of handcuff running backs. That's, I think, how I want to end this draft. So we'll do 1 and 2. You hope to see a lot of wide receivers. It looks like a lot of running backs do come off the board there, but only Evan Engram. So kind of what I was talking about in that, we passed on Kincaid at this spot, but the gap between Kincaid and some of these other tight ends, should it really be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds? Would that be 5 rounds or 4 rounds? Round goes by 1, 2, 3. It'd be 5 full rounds to go by. I don't know. I think the value we've kind of gained at running back and wide receiver over those picks makes it worth waiting for Njoku or Ferguson. I think between those 2, you could kind of do a coin flip. I have Ferguson mostly because of opportunity. A lot of opportunity on that team. No competition behind him. And just a better offense, right? There's going to be more touchdowns. He's heavily featured in the red zone. Actually got unlucky scoring touchdowns last season. He's got a much better chance of having that spiked season than Njoku, just given that the offense could pretty easily lead the league in touchdowns again. So those 2 are the options. You wouldn't go wide receiver at this point. Running backs, one of the ones I listed, Algier is still there. Algier probably the pretty clear option, just trying to get a handcuff, trying to get someone who, if there's an injury to Bijan, Algier is a top 15 probably running back. You want that upside. So take Algier, and I do think you should take the tight end here. Someone is going to take one of these guys. Again, I have Ferguson, but if you wanted to go Njoku at the spot, that it would be absolutely fine in doing that. And actually, the 3 picks after us, Njoku, Bowers, really the picks after us. See back to our next pick. Njoku, Bowers, Goddard, Hawkinson, Schultz, and Chig all go. So absolutely incredible value for us at the 1201 there. Okay. So we'll take one more handcuff running back. I would say top handcuff here, honestly, might be Braylon Allen. If we were looking for straight up points, I don't know why we would be, but just straight up points, who's going to score more? Bucky Irving would probably jump out the most. And honestly, Bucky Irving might even jump out the most regardless. I like him a lot. He could definitely contribute. Maybe we do want someone who could just kind of fill in that running back 2 spot occasionally. Then I guess if Rachaad White went down, he wouldn't be bad. Let's do it. I never draft Bucky Irving. Let's do it in this spot. And then, like I said, we'll draft. Actually, we can draft Wicks, but Wicks or Pearsall are just the two flyers I really like at wide receiver later on. Do we need that? Actually, that is a good question to ask first. Gibbs, Connor, Singletary, Algier, Bucky Irving. That's 5 running backs, and we already have 6 really strong wide receivers. No, it probably is better for us to just take an extra shot at running back. Take Braylon Allen. Just take these backups, off chance that there's an injury to a running back 1, you've got just insane value at that spot. All right, and then defense, I haven't done any research there. Okay, we'll take a screenshot of this. I think the team turned out well. I don't think it's like an insane team or anything. That was one of the previous ones. All right, we'll screenshot this, and we'll compare. So what I think we do is remember at the beginning of this, we had talked about this decision here with Gibbs and then maybe taking someone like Saquon. We pass on that. We go with more of a hero RB approach, grabbing Puka, DJ Moore, Nico Collins, CJ Stroud after that. How would the team differ if we instead redo this pick and instead of going over to a wide receiver, we double dip? We say, you know what? Gibbs is awesome, but Saquon could be too. They really, really like Saquon. They're going to use him in all areas of the game. Maybe they actually use him in the red zone and he racks up like 12 to 14 touchdowns along with 60 receptions and has well over 1,000 rushing, and he's a clear top 5 running back. And we're like, what were we thinking? Like, this is a phenomenal rushing offense, a phenomenal offense for touchdowns. Like, he's just so clearly the guy they want to be featuring. What were we overlooking? He should be a top 3 pick. Like, that is actually in his range of outcomes. Lower end, probably only 10% chance that actually happens, but easily, these two guys could be each top 3 running backs. That could happen. So we take that. How does that impact the rest of our draft? Well, we're not doing running back here. We could maybe test out robust, but we're not going to test out robust at this spot. Only argument would be Rachaad White, but I don't like Rachaad White enough to go there. Quarterback. Again, hey, maybe we just bet on the Eagles. We just say, people ask me all the time about stacking. Very quick on that. Stacking is fine. It's a little bit more risky when you do it early. The benefit of stacking here would be, I think Eagles are number 1 scoring offense. And I think I am securing every single touchdown with Saquon and Hurts. And if they end up scoring 30, 31 points a game, like, I'm just racking up all these touchdowns. It's incredible. What I say is hesitant early on stacking, just because there will be 2 or 3 games this season when the Eagles don't score a ton of points. And in those weeks, if they only score 1 touchdown, like, now you've got 2 of your first 3 picks that both didn't do that great. And you just add correlation on the negative end, which can really impact you negatively. And like, yeah, the weeks where they scored 5 touchdowns, but you could have gotten that with other picks as well. So on Underdog, like, it's much more beneficial in redraft leagues. It can hurt you at times unless you want to just bet on the team being way better than people think, which is a valid reason. Okay, all that to say, I'm probably not going to take him. I want to keep as much, again, the same as possible. So what I think I want to do here is say, if this was my draft, I mean, I'd be going with Nico Collins. I'd be like, oh, actually, we get the 2 picks. My goodness. Again, like I said in the other one, you can win in all areas here. Other years, top 5 picks were just super dominant. Look at the start we have here. I mean, a lot of these teams have great starts, and that's my point. You can win from anywhere in the draft this season. It's probably the most even any year has been in terms of like where you pick. Okay. So last time we did double dip, taking DJ Moore and Nico Collins. So maybe we do that again. Again, I don't really want to go with Hurts at this spot and do too much correlation there. And I don't want to take a running back. Yeah, let's do it. All right. I like this start because wide receiver is still obviously very important. Okay, 5-6 turn. Again, optimal range. 0 to 3 running backs, 1 to 3 wide receivers. Basically just don't double dip at one of the 2 positions, but we can take one of each. We could take neither. Quarterback, same spot. We can take Stroud if we want to. We don't have to. Took him last time, though, so if it's kind of a 50-50, we should probably continue with it. Last time we went with James Conner and CJ Stroud. We're again at that spot where wide receiver's not great, and the same thing with Tank Dell, which is the only reason why I sometimes will go with other players over Nico Collins at this general spot, and I like Tank Dell so much, it kind of forces you to not take Tank Dell. You could, again, just bet on Houston. Maybe you think Houston's awesome and that, Diggs doesn't do that much, and you want to take Tank Dell and CJ Stroud, and you say, you know what? We're going all in. It'll just, again, the weeks they don't perform that well will really, really hurt you. I personally want to do the same thing. I want to do Stroud and I want to do James Conner at this spot. I don't think there was a wide receiver that stood out enough to me. We just missed some really good value with like Zay Flowers there, but we still got really, really strong value at wide receiver at this pick. I had Zay Flowers at 167.9 points. We're looking at Pickens at 5 points less, so we did lose 5 points, like just missing out on Flowers there. But I like this. I like that how this is turning out. Pickens, maybe we go with McLaurin, which is basically going to turn into the decision was Pickens and Saquon Barkley or Puka and Singletary. I believe that's what it's going to come down to. But again, we'll evaluate after. At tight end, we'll just glance at it. It's a no. We would have gone with Pitts. Pitts goes in the same general spot as before. Okay. So we're going to have... Yeah, okay. I was making sure on something. The other one actually has McLaurin. Should we do that instead? No. Right? I don't remember if Pickens was available to us last time. I think we should. Just to... Yeah. So I would take Pickens here, but I don't think Pickens was available last time. I don't want to leave it up to just like that sort of randomness as to which team we end up liking a little bit more. So... Although would my bill would probably change. So given that I have Gibbs and Saquon, we're supposed to... Oh, no, we're allowed to have 4. Yeah, we're allowed to have 4 exiting. What I would probably end up doing, yeah, is this. I wouldn't take Singletary at that spot. I would take Pickens and McLaurin. So maybe it'll be a 3v3 in what we end up doing, because now we would have gone with Worthy and Ladd. I don't know that we would do that. We're at 10. 10, you're allowed to have 6 wide receivers. You have to have 4. You're allowed to have 6. So we could, interesting, we could do those two and double dip. We could go with Corum if we want to grab a 4th running back. Kittle's a pretty good value at this spot. But I kind of want to grab like Ferguson again at this one and not make too many things too different. Let's do that. Worthy and Ladd, do it again. Get just sick value at wide receiver. Like now we have a ton of wide receivers. Maybe we don't have that like true, true like elite wide receiver. I mean, Nico, I think will be that this season. But it'll be very interesting to break these two teams down, I think. Okay, then we went with Algier at this spot. 13, we grabbed Bucky Irving. Okay. I like this. This will be interesting to break down. Wicks, and then we went with whatever the top defense was. I think it was Houston last time as well. Okay. There's the squad. So, we'll pull on over the other one right here. I'll make sure, I believe you guys can see this. I think that will look good for you. And let's evaluate these two. Move it up a little bit. Try to get them a little bit more even. There we go. Okay. So, same tight ends, same quarterback, same defense, same running back 1. Difference between the two teams. First team, we're going to upgrade James Conner to Saquon Barkley. Pretty darn good upgrade for that team. Other team is going to upgrade. I want to say this properly. We're upgrading James Conner to Saquon Barkley, but we are downgrading. Looks like it's across positions, but Singletary basically turns into Pickens. Because everything else is basically the same. One difference is this other team that went a little bit weaker at the running back position grabs Braylon Allen. So if we look at like the differences, I guess I could have been doing this the whole time. Singletary, Connor, Puka. I can't highlight over here because it's not a picture. Those are the differences on the team. Which do we like better? We're obviously much stronger at running back in this first team, and it did allow us to attack wide receivers in the middle rounds. One note I would make there, though, is like Puka could easily be a top 5 wide receiver, and we have unlocked a potential to have like theoretically like 3 wide receiver ones, which would give us significant weekly upside. And I think we're still fine at running back on this team on the left. Like James Conner, maybe he's better early than late, but I think Singletary is going to get a ton of touches this season. We have upside options in Algier, Bucky Irving, and Braylon Allen. So we have the ability to figure out that running back 2 spot. You basically in the other team are like, okay, I'm going to figure that running back 2 spot out, but I'm going to downgrade that like 3rd wide receiver because Nico and DJ Moore is the same. That 3rd wide receiver that I thought I was going to be relying on. Well, right now we're flexing James Conner. Maybe that just turns into McLaurin, Pickens. Personally, I feel like I like the team on the right a little bit more. It did grade out a little bit better in their system. And that has been a trend. So I think that's an important thing to point out in this entire study, right? This is the last video of our 4-part series. Again, we looked at 101, 104, 107, and 112 in this one. I can put this away here. This was the general draft board that we have seen through the entire time, right? We have just liked our teams more when we have figured out that second running back spot. Whether we were double dipping in like 2-3, whether we were taking like McCaffrey and then kind of reaching a little bit on Derrick Henry when he fell to that spot. Because this mid-range of wide receiver is very strong. It is nice when you can get a quarterback like CJ Stroud. I think we've done Burrow a few times, Kyler. It's nice when you can kind of take a quarterback in this general spot. It's nice when, you can get Mark Andrews, you can get Dalton Kincaid. We're okay waiting. We've seen us wait for Ferguson in like multiple times here. But I think there's a lot of positions in these middle rounds where like you look at the running back spot and it's like, how confident truly are you in Aaron Jones, Swift, Moss, Mostert, Pollard, Najee, Javonte, even James Conner I've picked Brooks. I feel good about him, but how confident are you that team's going to be any good? Even Rachaad White as early as he goes, Zamir White in round 4, how good do you feel about that? Kamara round 4. Like how good do you actually feel about these running backs? I wouldn't say overly amazing. And while you're getting a discount on some of them, and some of them still have great upside, I don't know. Because of how early people are taking wide receiver, we're getting Henry at great discounts at times. I think Barkley's a great discount at times. JT is on a great discount. I think Josh Jacobs goes too late at times. James Conner, Ken Walker, Pacheco. But after that, once we get into White, Montgomery, Kamara, Zamir, Jones, Stevenson, it's like, I like Stevenson. That's probably the one that I would draft the most out of that grouping. And Montgomery. But there's a lot more hesitations. And so by securing 2 in the first 5, which again, looked at 2 million teams, that grades out optimally, taking 2 in those first 5 rounds. It's at least the best among, taking 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. I think it's the move. I think it's the move this season is in these first 3 rounds in a redraft league, way different on a site like Underdog. In a redraft league, trying to get those first 2. So I think that's something I need to take into account a little bit more when I'm doing out the rankings, those projections. I've probably been a little bit too heavy on wide receiver just because, I've been playing a ton on Underdog. Everyone's going heavy wide receiver this season. I think I maybe need to bump back up the running back position because it truly is like very beneficial grabbing those first 2 and then being able to attack what is significant value at the wide receiver position, tight end position, quarterback position, kind of in these middle rounds. So let me know what your thought is on all of the things we talked about today, all the things we've done in this series. Again, if in this series some players have gotten hurt, I don't think anything's gonna much happen because, like, you know, again, I can't record over basically the next like week, honestly, like 2 weeks basically. But like nothing's happening. Like camps actually start happening in like mid-July. So I don't think anything crazy is going to happen. But if I drafted someone that like tore their ACL, understand that this is more about positional value, not in the difference between Nico and Pittman and DJ Moore, just knowing that those general players are there at that spot. So take who you like. If I drafted someone who is not playing anymore, I apologize. So if you want to see the full results from this study, thefantasyfootballadvice.com. It's probably been on the screen for the entire video. Things change. Things change if you are in a full PPR league. Things change if you have 3 starting wide receiver spots, 2 flex spots. The optimal ranges change. You can't just write down everything I was saying in this video unless you're in a half PPR, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. Then you can write down everything you want in this video. If you want to see those results, that's all on there. My rankings are on there as well. But yeah, that's the end of this one. Hope you all did enjoy. If you did, you're still here, you somewhat liked it, please click the like button. Really helps me out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Click the bell icon as well so you don't miss out on any of the videos. That, my friends, is the end of this one. And thanks for watching.